Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/maliciouscompliance, where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. If you're new around here, please do hit subscribe down below so that you never miss out on another video. But for now, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy some malicious compliance. Sometimes it's better to just give them what they want. I love to cook and my husband loves to eat. Win-win, right? Top it off with the fact that I like to serve him his meal while he gets to relax. It's just how I was raised, so I'm fine with it. So, one day, I make some homemade ice cream. I'm loving its texture, its flavor, its everything. Husband walks by and sees me eating, so he says, "I'll have some ice cream," then sits his butt down in the living room. He was right fudging there. I was angry. He was so lazy, he wanted me to serve him when he already has to walk past the kitchen, where I stood eating right out of the container like the fat person I am, to get to the living room. Cue malicious compliance. I grab a bowl and fill it up. I call out, "You want toppings?" He yells back, "Oh yeah, I want toppings." He's not being mean, he's just excited. I'm preparing this bowl of ice cream with everything he loves. Chocolate syrup, caramel drizzle, homemade whipped cream, maraschino cherry, crushed up peanuts, even a sliced up banana to turn it into an amazing banana split. After loading up the huge bowl of ice cream, I get 2 spoons and put one in the bowl. On the other one, I add a tiny piece of banana, tiny bit of ice cream, and a touch of all the toppings, except the cherry. I walk over to him and he's rearranging his gaming stuff, preparing to take the bowl from my hands. His eyes are glowing with joy at the sight of my beautiful creation, and he's got a smile a mile long. I sit in my chair, hug the bowl, and pass him the spoon of ice cream. The look on his face was well worth my efforts. He was so sad for like a second before he broke into a fit of laughter. He acknowledged he was being lazy, thanked me for making ice cream in the first place, then got up and fixed himself a bowl. We still laugh about it months later, and he goes out of his way to serve me more often now. At first I was thinking, oh, this can't be a healthy relationship. I mean, quite literally, it's probably not that healthy if they're eating that much ice cream, but it seemed pretty healthy and wholesome at the end. Airport compliance. I saw the sweetest compliance / instant justice I've ever seen yesterday at the airport. We were standing in line for Air France in JFK, and they don't open until 1 PM. So there was a long line of people waiting. It usually moves fairly quickly, but there was a pretty impatient person standing there. They open up and the line starts to move. An attendant walks through and starts looking at tickets, and if people pre-checked in, they were told to move to the bag drop-off line and move on. It was a quicker lane because people were literally dropping off bags only. This impatient lady asks the guy to let her go over there. He told her that it was for bag drop-off only. She got a little upset they were moving quicker and asked much louder the next time. He told her she wasn't checked in yet and she needed to stay in that line. The third time he walked by, she stopped him again and started really yelling at him about how she was paying so much for her ticket and she didn't understand why those other people got to go through. I don't know if the gate ticket person understood what was going on, but I heard the guy say to her, "Fine, you are going to be told to go out and check in and you'll be at the back of the line, but if you insist, and it means that much to you, go into that line." She looked triumphant as she stood there with her bags, and then she got to the front and the check-in attendant looked at her passport and then told her she wasn't checked in yet and she needed to go stand in the line for check-in. She was very upset and started yelling. Security showed up and walked her out of line. After talking to her, she agreed to get in line. They made her get in the very back. I don't understand why she was trying to say, oh, I paid a lot for my ticket, because you're in the line where everyone probably paid about the same price for the ticket, so I'm really confused by that. Hand the exam, or I'll take half a point from your mark. I remember of this story that happened in junior high. Well, the French equivalent. One year, we had a mathematics professor who liked to make rules. Not annoying rules a la grumpy old man, but this was his way of holding the class. When students feel screwed or feel like others are at an advantage, they complain. So think he was trying to avoid that. Rules and schedules so that it's going fairly smoothly. For example, at the beginning of each class, he would randomly pick a handful of names in the class list and check if those students did the homework. If you were picked and didn't do the homework, you got a punishment. Copying notebook pages, nothing bad, just annoying. If you didn't do the homework, you could still go up to him before he picked names and admit you didn't do it, to dodge the punishment. You suffered no consequences except a disappointed look, but hey, one couldn't do it every time, and honestly, it took a bit of courage. Or else, you could gamble and try not to be chosen. Your call. Great rule this one was, very efficient. He was a good professor, fair and smooth. For exams, he would give everyone's sheet face down, and we had to turn them face up and start writing when everyone had his, so that no one was screwed. At the end of the hour, he would announce that time was up, and we had one spare minute if we hadn't finished, while he started to collect those of whom had finished. At the end of that minute, everyone drop the pens. If you don't, I will remove half a point. In France, our grades are most of the time a score over 20, no A to F. One time, he goes to Matthew's desk, who is still writing, and says, "Matthew, drop your pen or you'll lose half a point." "I don't care. If I finish this question real quick, I'll earn 2 points," Matthew says in a heartbeat, without looking up. I thought our professor would just insist and take the copy. After all, Matthew knowingly was taking advantage, offering himself more time than other people, and the rule was essentially here to prevent students from attempting to sneakily write anymore, even though the rule clearly stated the deal. So he stood there, waited 15 seconds. Matthew finished writing while the class laughed, took the sheet and marked 0.5 minus and marked minus 0.5 in red. Fair, smooth. Well played, Matthew. Professor still said this wouldn't work anymore. I really want to know if Matthew actually got 2 extra points, or if it wasn't worth it and he actually ended up losing points overall. You have to come in person to sort that out. This happened approximately 10 years ago in Poland. I bought my first new car. It was a black Mitsubishi Lancer Sportback. I was young. I had some extra money, so I thought I can afford to splurge on something new and fancy. It wasn't a stretch financially, but probably not a smartest decision. But I digress. Since this car became the most valuable thing I owned, I decided to insure it well. One day after signing the papers with the insurance agent, PZU for those familiar with Poland, and paying what was due, I decided to upgrade my insurance package to include windshield damage or something similar. No problem. The insurance agent came to my house with some extra paperwork. One more bank transfer later, and it was all good. A few months pass. I receive a letter from the insurance company, from the debt collection department. They claim that I owe them something around 300 PLN, or $50. I jump to my computer and check my online banking. Did I mess up the account number? Did I forget? No, everything seems fine. The next day, I call the support line. After being transferred a few times, A nice lady tells me that I do owe them 300 PLN for the insurance. But on my other insurance, there is 300 PLN overpay. It turns out that the change I made to my insurance by adding the extra coverage was really under a different insurance policy number. Phew, problem solved. Thank you. Bye? Well, no. The lovely lady tells me that I have to come to their physical location to sort this out. They cannot just transfer money between accounts. The problem is, they are open only Monday to Friday, and their opening hours are nearly the same as my working hours. Due to traffic, there is no way to go there quickly. I would have to take a day off work to sort this. No. I said that I understand she cannot do anything for me, so please let me speak to her manager. He's not there, he will call me. Few days pass. I get a call. The manager explains to me that due to the internal policies, this and that, they cannot just move that money from one account to another without me coming to the office in person. And no, I cannot send a registered letter either. It has to be in person. Exhausted with all that nonsense. So, someone will come to my house and tell me that in person then? There's silence. Excuse me? You say you cannot just transfer the money between two accounts, that both belong to me, unless I will come in person. That is fine, but I have a rule that such information can come to me in person only. So when will someone from the insurance company come to my house to tell me that? We can't do that, sir. I understand that you cannot help me any further. Can I please speak to your manager then? He's not here, but I will ask him to call you. After a few days of radio silence, I called the debt collection department to check on my case. I quickly learned that there is no case anymore, the money got moved. Some of these policies are the stupidest things ever. Why do they need to be in person to transfer money between accounts? They can clearly see, oh, there's an overpay on this one, and there's an underpay on that one. Can't you just move it over? Don't feed him mashed potatoes. Here's a bit of context. I have always, and probably always will, hated potatoes. Especially mashed potatoes. Every time I smell them, or get too close to them, I get very nauseous. When I was about 3 or 4, I went to a daycare since both my parents worked and my brothers all went to school. When you fill out the papers to get your child into daycare, you have to list certain foods that they can't eat and the reason for it. Well, my parents, having begrudgingly dealt with my potato problem before, wrote down that I was not to be fed potatoes because I can't keep them down. Now, this preschool was not the best, but not the worst. The caretakers probably shouldn't have been hired in the first place, and many issues occurred before they closed. Nothing too serious. The people who brought out our food apparently disregarded my potato problem and served them to me anyway. Since I knew I didn't like them, I just didn't eat them. However, they had a strict eat everything on your plate policy. I told them, as well as a 4-year-old can, that I'd throw them up if I ate them, but they didn't believe me, and made me sit there until I ate them. It lasted about 15 minutes before I caved. Sure enough, being the goody two-shoes I was, and also wanting them to actually believe me, I took about half a spoonful of mashed potatoes and ate it. About 3 seconds later, I had vomited all over the table, myself, the floor, and the shoes of one of the staff. I still remember them telling me why I didn't say I was sick, even though I told them this would happen. They also made me clean it up and miss our outside playtime. They called my parents and told them what happened. Of course, my parents told them to look at my file, and sure enough, "Do not feed him mashed potatoes" was written there. I was picked up and spent the rest of the day at home, not before my dad had a very strong talk with the head chef and owner. Sadly, this happened 3 more times before my parents threatened to take some sort of legal action. Like I said, they closed about 2 years after I went to public school. I don't understand these stories, like why do people force food down someone else's throat? Some people don't like food, some people are allergic to food, like you could be lactose intolerant or allergic to peanuts. You're not going to force one of those people to have something like that. Why is it any different with just random foods? Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching and I will see you very soon.